All right, let's talk just briefly about this thing here. I know I did a video once before when I built this on exactly what I did, but we'll just go over it again because a lot of people saw it being used in the videos last week and curious about it. I know one fellow's out there building one. So this was, as often is the case, we find ourselves working by ourselves and we need to hold a piece of metal down. We don't have, it would be wonderful to have a helper to hold a piece of metal down for us if we only had a helper, and but we don't. So we need something to hold it down. There's all kinds of hold fasts. I've built them all from what do they call it? A dog, like you have in a woodworking bench. A hold down, a hold fast, all kinds of things, and then different ways of clamping. You've seen them all. You've tried them all. I have too. And this is what I've ended up coming up with. So you need something to hold down your ironwork while you're chiseling it. It's red hot, and you need to hold it down, right? Because you don't have both hands free. So that's what I've developed this thing. And that fella, in my original posting, I listed his name, and it eludes me right now. Young man down in Tennessee, absolute genius, Central Tennessee. It's a great group of guys down there. He is genius at making tools. He does a very good job of blacksmithing as well. But he had one like this made for his anvil, and I really liked it. So I came home and I had made one for the anvil, and then I decided to make a separate table all in itself. Because how many of you chisel on a chisel plate? When you have another plate of steel between the anvil and you, it kind of chatters and you don't get the backing you really need. You really need a lot of heavy backing. So this is built with its own anvil. And this piece of steel is some 7.5 inches wide by 12 inches long by about 3 inches thick. It is just barely heavy enough. I would love it to be a bit heavier, but it do its job. Block of steel set in a table. There's a piece of wood underneath it to give it that cushion like you would have with an anvil. So I've done that. You can see I can bring the piece through, put it down, hold down, do the work. Now, in the last week when I was chiseling, I still used the anvil and I had this turned so this was holding the piece down. I didn't use this as an anvil, right? I did not use this as an anvil. I love the heavier weight. The backing that I had with that 200-pound anvil was way better than this, which is not even 100 pounds. So yeah, that's why I did that. It was suitable. But it worked out real well. Okay, if you're making one of these, one of the things to remember, build it the same height as your anvil. Okay. Another thing, I have a weight hanging here. Let's take a look at it. There's a weight here, and as it pulls down on this bar here that I'm raising. See, I have this handle on it here, so I can push down on it and bring it up. And this weight holds it down. Now, I just did that for this last project because I originally had made this that was a foot pedal, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I didn't even want to, I wanted to have all my concentration on what I was doing, not worrying about my balance, not pushing down. I knew it had to be held all the time. So I just hung a weight on it, and it worked really well. Worked much better than I had expected it to. Now it's a heavy weight, but that's fine. Okay. We'll leave the bar in here for 1 minute. Here is the foot pedal that I had made. Okay. And originally, we're going to take that weight off of here because this is only the latest edition. Take the weight off. So originally, this foot pedal was on here. Now, what's nice about the foot pedal, this is how it was originally planned to be used. You bring the piece out. So it's very easy to raise this up and down because there's no weights on it now. But then the foot pedal, you put your foot on it and you press down, and I can't move this piece now. It's being held down. And real quickly, if I take my foot off the pedal, I can move it really easy. That is useful not when you're chiseling, but if you were punching holes. You need the same backup and somebody to hold it for you when you're punching a hole. Am I right? And so you're sitting here and you're punching a hole. I should have had a punch here with me, and I don't. So you're punching a hole. Let's make believe this is a punch, not a center punch. So you're holding it down with your foot. You're punching down on this, right? You're probably going to have 3 good hits on the metal, right? 3 good hits on the metal. And then you have to lift it to bring it over here to a pritchel hole. To do that, you take your foot off there, and real quickly you can pick that piece up just like I just did. Come around here, put it back down, put your foot down on it again now, and give it that last 2 hits on the pritchel hole. So this block of steel, I also drilled 3 different size pritchel holes, small, medium, and large pritchel hole, because you need that hole to punch through to drop that slug out, right? When you're punching a hole. I also over here I have 3 square, we'll call them pritchel holes for lack of a better thing, and that's for when I'm drifting square holes through plates, right? And I need to have a backup. They need to be backed up. So that's done there. So I have 3 pritchel holes that are square, of a slot for slitting things. There's a place to keep my hammer right handy. And over here I added a hardy hole. It's just welded together box that's the same size as the hardy hole in my anvil. So a hardy hole that I can add tooling to later. Perhaps I'm going to have an arm that comes over and does that chiseling for me. An arm holding a chisel, right? And it can be right there, and I can feed the piece through this way then as I hammer, right? As I hammer, I can be feeding the piece through. So that's what it is.